excited. We have Annalee Grace on the podcast today. And you guys, I am so freaking excited to talk to her today. I feel like we're best friends and I've never
I
met you
agree
in real life.
100%. Yeah, it's a mutual obsession. I'm obsessed with you, and I feel like I've met you before, 100%.
Yeah.
But we haven't.
Yeah. That like I'm like, is she just saying that? Because I feel like I'm like mini fangirling here. I'm trying not to be weird or anything, but I freaking love you so much. And I've been following you. Gosh, it feels like forever, but I remember when you hit 100K on TikTok and now you're at over 500K.
Oh my gosh,
And
that's crazy.
so whatever that was. Yeah.
I don't even know. That must have been a couple years ago, maybe.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. When did you?
I'm honored.
When did you start posting on social media? Let's talk a little bit about that and kind of your journey there.
Totally. So I started posting more I was always like doing the thirsty, like college VSCO filters and Instagram kind of vibe. But then I never actively started posting on Instagram until I was pregnant with my first. And I didn't have anyone in my real life who was pregnant or had babies. So I was like sharing my story online, like making more stories and like really leaning into actually having something to talk about, even though that sounds kind of lame, but I didn't have much to share before. And then I really fell in love, that sounds lame, with Instagram and making content on there. But I didn't start on TikTok till I was pregnant with my second. So 2021, somewhere around there. Because making videos, tell me if you agree with me. I feel like making videos is way scarier than in the beginning, like just making a post or posting an image or like being on stories.
Oh, 100%. Because when you're in video, it's like you feel so much more vulnerable. And I don't know about you, but I'm like my worst critic. I'm like, that looks stupid, or like I'm just overly critical, especially at the beginning because you're not used to it. And you get as you do it more, it becomes more natural. But definitely at the beginning, when Reels started becoming a thing, I was so nervous about it. I'm like, no, like I was just resisting, didn't want to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would spend so much time editing one video. And then like I would think back and be like, I just spent 2 hours trying to do this one video and no one's going to like it. No one's going to watch it.
Yeah.
My friends in real life are going to make fun of me for trying to post videos online.
Yeah, I know, right? Like that's like one of the biggest things. It's hard. Like I was going to ask you about that. Like, were you ever nervous, like how people would perceive you that you knew in real life and they would judge you?
100%. I remember when I got my very first brand deal, it was with like paid brand deal, not just gifted. Yeah. It was with Aveeno. And I was over the moon, like $100. And I was just like, I made it. I was so excited. And I was so nervous to share it online because I just assumed everyone who followed me in real life would be like, who does she think she is trying to sell us body lotion, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of impostery syndrome going on there, especially with people in real life. I wish I could block out everyone in real life sometimes.
I know. That's why I like TikTok a little bit better in that way, because I feel like not as many people that I know in real life follow me over there versus Instagram. Totally. And so I feel a little safer over there.
Have you ever had anyone say something to you? Sorry.
No, you're okay. Like someone I know in real life be rude about it?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think so. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. No, I feel like I also just live in like a society and like a culture that's like silently judges everyone. I don't know if you've ever been to Utah. I actually love living in Utah, but like I feel like it's a lot of like whispering, but I also could just be like totally making that up in my brain.
No, totally. I dated a Mormon from senior year of high school through almost senior year of college. So I spent a lot of time in Provo and Orem.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
I'm basically in with the Utah crowd. So
nice. Well, if you're ever here, you have to let me know because we'll go hit up Provo area.
No, thank you.
It's not, I'm like, I never go to Utah County, but I'm like right on the border of Salt Lake County and Utah County. So, but hardly, it's like a different world down there. It's a lot different from Salt Lake. So, but has anyone said that anything to you that you know in real life?
That's a good question. I asked you that question. I should have had an answer ready. I think
I assumed you had like a big story or something. I'm like, I can't wait to hear this.
Right. I was setting you up so that you could ask me. No, I don't have any big stories. I'm so sorry to disappoint you. The only two things that have happened is, well, actually recently I was walking into my, my firm, my engineering firm, And one of my coworkers stopped me, who I haven't worked on a project with in probably 2 years. And he stopped me and he was like, "Hey, I love you on TikTok." I was like, "Oh, thank you so much." He was really kind. But when I first started posting on Instagram, a lot of my girlfriends actually approached me and were really concerned why I was sharing my problems with the world instead of calling
Mm,
them. And I feel like they were felt slighted. But the way I tried to explain it, and I'm sure you can understand as a mom, I didn't want to call them at 3 a.m. when my baby wasn't sleeping, or I didn't want to bore them with diaper problems. And I feel like, especially as a mom, sometimes those little moments like go so fast. Like it's over before
yeah.
you can even be that upset about it. So it was easier to just post on Instagram. But other than that, we moved through that as a friendship group and got over it pretty quickly. But that was the only
Yeah.
thing.
Well, that's one of the things I wanted to talk to you about because I know that you've posted about friendships a lot on TikTok and Instagram. And I feel like a lot of people can relate to that. Because when you become a parent, a mom, and you have friends who maybe aren't in that season of life or they're a different season of life, it's easy to lose touch with them. So, was that your experience, or did you kind of have a mom group of friends that all kind of had babies around the same age?
No,
No?
literally no one. I wish. I dreamed of having that. I
Yeah.
was the first out of all my friends to have a baby by maybe 2 years. And my husband and I, we accidentally got knocked up. We were going to wait a few years. So I was still in party mode, going out
Yeah.
on the weekends, doing some crazy things. So it was kind of a hard right turn. So I didn't have anyone in real life that had babies. And for the most part, everyone was really supportive. But it's interesting how quickly some friendships fall off. And I'm not
Yeah.
saying that's their fault or my fault. I feel like when you're just in such different stages of life, it's hard to understand where the other person is coming from. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, my experience was so I had a very small group of friends through high school and college. And so and my main core friends didn't have babies. Like a few of them still aren't married and don't have
Yeah,
kids.
same.
And like since I've gotten divorced, I have made it more of a like I have more time, I guess I would say, like to really prioritize friendships. That's one thing I kind of regret is like letting those friendships slide and like go on the
Right.
back burner. But I've like reconnected with them. And even though you are in a different season of life, I feel like once you get into your 30s, like people are more understanding and can try to relate to you, or they have nieces and nephews, or they have some association to kids. And I'm like, oh, did I just like build it up in my brain that they wouldn't
Totally.
want to hang out with me because I have kids and because I'm married? I'm like not cool enough, or I don't want to go out to the bars anymore. Like I want to go to bed at
Right.
9, you
Yeah,
know?
absolutely. And that's what I was saying. I don't think it's anyone's fault because I for sure stopped reaching out to some of my friends who didn't have kids because I
Yeah.
assumed they didn't want to hear it or they didn't want to come over to my house again or they, wanted to go do things that I didn't want to bring the baby to. So I
Yeah.
totally agree. Looking back, like was it all in my head?
Yeah.
you
I
know.
know. I'm
But I don't
definitely like
know.
that too.
Do you feel the same way? And maybe this is just a me thing, but when I first had babies, even especially after I had my second, because 1 to 2 was like so hard for me, it was so hard for me to talk to people without kids and to hear like their daily life and how they get to go about their day and wake up whenever they want. Like my brain couldn't even understand that that's the life that they were living. And it made it really hard on my end to want to like ask about their life and connect with them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I remember one time my little sister told me she's married but she doesn't have any kids right now, and we were just chatting like at a family dinner, and she told me that she was so tired because she got too much sleep. And this is when my oldest was a newborn. And I was like, I mean, I get it because I remember that. I remember like getting too much sleep before you have kids. And you're like, God, I slept for like 13 hours. It's noon and I just woke up.
It's brutal, Caitlin. I feel so
Yeah.
bad for people
And
who get
I
too
was
much
trying to
sleep.
just be like really like sensitive and like, oh, I'm so sorry. But I was waking up every fucking 3 hours. So it's like,
Is it
I'm like, you
so
have
hard for
no, I have
you?
like
Is it
bags under
so
my
hard?
eyes. Yeah, I look like shit. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. My sister does that all the time. Bless her heart. She's older. She's never going to have kids. She's living her
Yeah,
best life. And we host dinner
love
over
that
here
for
a
her.
lot and love that for her, not
Yeah.
me. And we cook, my husband and I cook the meals or we order the food and she's like, "Can I bring carrots?" And I'm like, sure, Christina, or she's like, she'll say, I was gonna bring the carrots. I'm just too tired. I got too busy today. And I'm like, what were you doing? I have
Yeah.
been cooking meals with these two children all day long, and you can't bring vegetables. I love her. I love her dearly. We're just in two different universes, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that's so funny. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So, okay. So, mom friends, I know that you've made a lot of
Mhm.
mom friends like in this community. It's so fun to
Yes.
connect with other women who are posting about the same things and kind of in the same stage of life. Let's talk about that. Who are you friends with? Just tell me who you're friends with.
You want me to name names?
Yeah.
um,
If you want to, but
no, I don't care. I don't have anything bad to say about anyone, so we can talk about people all you want.
yeah.
I've made a lot of friends with people online, but now, of course, I'm not going to think of anyone. I feel like more so, I don't know, I feel like there's this unspoken support that we have as mom creators kind of in the same space because there's lifestyle mom creators, there's fitness mom creators, and we all support each other, but I feel like I don't even know what I would call our little corner of the internet. Like I don't want to say realistic mom creators because I know other people are being realistic, but I feel like there's such
Yeah.
an unspoken level of support between all of us that even if I
Yeah.
haven't followed you for a while and we connect, like I'm going to hype you up and I'm going to be so excited to comment on your stuff and to DM with you and ask you questions or answer questions. So I feel like I've made a lot of friends, even if I haven't met that many people in real life, you know?
Yeah.
Who are you
Yeah.
friends with?
Oh gosh. Well, I know now my mind is going blank. I didn't have like an
Yeah.
answer for you either. I mean, you,
Yes.
friends with you. Yeah, but it's been like one of the best things I think about like this community is just like the people that you connect with, and even people who aren't creators, content creators. I've made a lot of just mom friends that have small businesses or just mom are I don't want to say just moms because that is
Totally.
a
Oh my
big
God, you guys,
title.
she said just mom.
I know. I'm like, oh crap. Like you guys know what I mean.
Yes, of
But
course.
who are moms and live across the country or live in a different country, and we just have so much in common, and I truly feel like they're my friends. And I'm like, if you're ever
Yes.
in Utah, like you are invited to my house, you are welcome here. Like I know you, like I feel like I know your kids, and I just love that. So
Yeah,
I
I
know
I
that.
feel the same.
Sorry, go ahead.
I literally just said I feel the same. Don't worry, you can
Oh,
keep going.
okay. Okay. One of the other things I wanted to talk to you about was your birthing experience. So I always see your beautiful pictures or your videos that you post when you had your home birth. So I want to know more about that because I did not do a home birth. Both of my girls were born in hospital with epidural, all of that
Mhm.
good stuff. But every time I see images of home births, it honestly looks like the most beautiful experience, like just the look on moms faces like after they have
Totally.
like I want to talk about that. And were both of your girls born for a home, did you do home birth with both of your girls or
No, just my second. I think I would have been a little too nervous for my first because you've never given birth. You don't know what your
yeah.
body's going to do. First was in the hospital with a doula, and I had big dreams of going unmedicated, but I won't bore you for all the reasons we had to induce, and Pitocin contractions are a whole nother beast. So I ended up delivering without an epidural because I was so stubborn. And I think looking back, maybe an epidural would have been a really helpful tool for me to relax because I was in like freaking fight or flight mode, baby. That
Well, thanks so much again for joining the podcast. And go check out Annalee on Instagram, TikTok. Go check out her website, alongthewaves.com. I will link everything in the show notes for you guys. And thanks again, Annalee.
you're the best. Thank you so much. I love you so
Thank
much.
you.
It was Pitocin contractions, and I just wasn't prepared. I thought I was prepared. I went in there like, I'm an athlete. I can handle this, and it did not go that well. Were your experiences positive in the hospital?
Yeah. So both of
That's
mine,
awesome.
yeah, they were. So what happened on both of mine, actually, my water broke early. So with my
Oh,
first, it broke in the morning. When you're like at the end of your pregnancy and like you just kind of pee all the time, like
all the time.
get out of
Even now,
bed,
honestly.
just like
Yeah.
pee. But it's like it's like a little. So there was like one morning I woke up got out of bed, and there was like a little bit more than normal, but it
Right.
wasn't like a big gush or anything.
No, no.
And I had a doctor's appointment that morning. So go to the doctor to do my checks, whatever. And I mentioned to him, I was like, yeah, I don't know. It felt like, I don't know what happened. It seemed like a little bit more. So he checked me and my water broke, but it just partially broke. So
Oh,
then they
that's what
had to
happened with my
admit,
first one.
yeah,
Exactly.
yep. So then they had to admit me to the hospital. They induced labor, and they had to break my water. So that was my first. And then my second experience with my second daughter, water broke about the same time, like 2 weeks early. But
Oh, interesting.
it was a big gush,
Like
and
balloon pop.
it did not, well, not really like a big balloon, but it was just like a lot. And then it would not stop. So I thought I was like going to the bathroom and like I couldn't hold it, and
Yeah,
I was so nervous because I was early and I just didn't feel like I was ready. How you never feel like you're ready, right?
right, right.
And I was just like, no, 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 like I want like just be in there a little longer. But there's nothing you could do at that point. So we went to the
No,
hospital,
once the
and
waters broke, unfortunately.
yeah, well, and it was like I had to, when I was walking into the hospital, like it was just coming all out. Like I was bent over
Right,
trying to like hold it in. I'm like, I need a wheelchair because there's just gonna be water or
right.
whatever it is, like all over the
Yeah,
floor.
a little
Yeah.
snail
So
trail behind you.
yeah. Yeah. So so your first you didn't do, and then what made you want to do a home birth with your second?
I don't even know because it was always something that was so far outside the realm of possibility for me. And then I saw my wedding planner randomly on Instagram posted that she had a home birth. And I thought, okay, if she could do it, maybe that's something we could do. And I brought it to Ethan, my husband, assuming he would shut it down pretty quick and that would be the end of that conversation. But immediately he was like, oh, hell yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Why wouldn't we do that? Why haven't we thought of this before? And then we ended up meeting with midwives and it kind of all fell into place. I think I actually switched at 20 weeks or something like that. So I planned on doing the hospital the whole time. And then by the second half, I was like, we're gonna try it at home, see what happens.
Uh, Yeah, I love that. What type of like mental what type of mental preparation did you do beforehand? I feel like you have to be so mentally strong.
No, totally. And that's what I missed the first time. Like I said, I was like, I can squat a lot. Like I'll be fine. I can do this. I can run far. Like it'll be fine.
I can run
And
far.
it's such a mental game more so than a physical game. And so this time going in, one, I did so many fear releasing podcasts or meditations, which sounds a little insane. And if you would have told me that 5 years ago, I probably would have said it sounds a little like woo woo, but it actually worked really
Mm.
well. I would just listen to it when I napped because you're napping all the time when you're pregnant, when you can for your second pregnancy. And it basically just released all the fear because in the media and like all the movies we've ever seen about birth are people screaming, you know? And I had a lot of fear, especially after kind of a traumatic ish first labor.
Yeah.
So doing that helped tremendously. And my husband and I also went in, I made like a 4-page list on my notes app of things I wanted him to say to me, things we could do together, kind of like a toolbox almost. And the first time I was just thinking, well, we have a doula, it'll be fine. She'll help us. She'll tell us what to do. And this time we were like studying the list, we were on it, and it ended up being it worked really, really well, surprisingly.
Yeah. How long was your labor?
Great question. So my water broke the night before, and immediately I started crying because that's what happened with my first labor. And I thought that I was going to have to go be induced at the hospital, and I thought it was game over for me for a home birth. And I went to bed crying that night, and my husband was like, "Let's just see how it goes. We will talk about it in the morning." And I ended up waking up in the middle of the night, maybe 2 a.m. with contractions, and that never happened with my first. I never had contractions without pitocin. And I remember just sitting in bed crying because I felt so grateful that I had this opportunity for my body to kind of work through it the way it's quote unquote supposed to. And I remember going into it like, okay, I'm going to have this mindset that this is such a gift. And I didn't have this gift before, but every contraction is a gift that I get to experience. And it sounds so like backwards and kind of weird, but it really made me look at it with a lot of gratitude and be thankful for the experience. But, anyways, to answer your
Yeah.
question 2 minutes later, I think I officially started having contractions at 2 a.m. and gave birth around 9:30 a.m. So it
Okay.
wasn't bad. No,
That's not
it was
bad.
no, not bad
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, unmedicated, like I'm just what I imagine it would feel like. It probably felt like forever, right?
Yeah, well, it actually, compared to Pitocin contractions, it only felt like that at the very end for transition compared to that unmanageable pain the entire time. Like it really only got bad the last hour.
Yeah.
And then that's when, you're like, I can't do this. Never mind. Let's go to the hospital. But unfortunately, it was a record-breaking blizzard that day in Denver, like
Oh,
the biggest it's been in a decade. And the chances of us being able to get to the hospital probably would have been very slim.
yeah.
So it was kind of, this is our only option unless an
Oh my
emergency
gosh.
happens.
Yeah.
And we actually almost had to transfer last minute. Like we were getting ready to call
To go to the
911.
hospital.
Yeah,
Oh,
because
why?
I had meconium in my fluid. I had it from the very beginning. Like the when it comes out kind of green from the baby's
Oh,
poop
uh-huh.
or
Yeah, yeah.
whatever.
Uh-huh.
And I don't think that's an immediate red flag. Again, I don't know anything about it, but they were like, we'll just monitor it, and kind of keep an eye on it. And then I was in transition. I made my husband get in the shower with me, out of the shower with me. Like I was dragging him all
Oh
around the house
my
with
God.
me. And I finally got down on my hands and knees, and this huge burst of fluid came out, and it was dark, dark green. And immediately my midwives were like, okay, like let's get you checked and kind of see what's happening. And I think I like to think that subconsciously I kind of sensed a shift in the room. I don't remember thinking that, but I'd like to think my body did, because as we were walking over to the bed for them to check me in my master bedroom, I just started like violently puking
Oh my God.
everywhere, like all over Ethan, and it felt so good, which sounds so weird. But finally, like you didn't feel any of the pain, and I felt her like shoot down, and
Oh
they
my
checked me
God.
and they were like, "Oh my God, her head's here. Like you can push." And because she had been up high the whole time, so I think it was my body
Mm.
being like, "Okay, what can we do that's going to push her down in the quickest amount of time because she needs to get out right now?" And the answer was
Yeah.
puking. So
Wow. Oh my
yeah.
God. That is beautiful. How did your husband sounds like your
It's
husband
so beautiful.
no, it did that sounded really beautiful. I know like the throwing up and stuff, but just like
Yeah.
how your body reacted, like our bodies are so amazing when I mean, not in every case, but like just the fact that your body could do that and just sensed and pushed the baby out. How did your husband, how was he during the whole birthing experience? Was he like, we need to go to the hospital, or was he just like totally supportive of what you wanted to do? How was he when you threw up on him?
In the moment he took it like a champ, but later
Yeah.
he was like, I can't believe you puked all over me. No, he was the most like supportive, by my side. I had him count all of my contractions for me, and I had him breathe with me through every contraction. Like I needed his face like right in my face so that I could
Yeah.
match his breathing. And he was so supportive, and just really, really wonderful. And it really was such a really beautiful bonding experience for us to kind of go through
Yeah.
that at home together, because for the most part, the midwives chilled out in the kitchen, drinking coffee, eating snacks. And it was just us back in the bedroom together, kind of, doing different things or showering or getting in the tub together. So it was
Mm,
really a wonderful experience. And I feel so grateful that I got that redemptive labor, because I know so many moms don't, or they have
yeah.
a traumatic birth or another traumatic birth, or, things go differently than they expected. And I'm just really thankful for it.
Yeah. I love that so much. So would you ever do a home birth again?
Totally. Yeah.
You would.
Well, part of me is like, you know what? I did it. Like, at least go to the hospital, make it easy. But I think I would. I think it's something that I feel passionate about. But I'm such a big believer that no matter how you want to give birth is the best choice for you, whether it's medicated, C-section, unmedicated, as long as you feel, empowered around it and empowered
Yeah.
around the decisions that you're making. I think that's what leads to a quote unquote positive birth. So I think, whatever you want to choose, but I think I would do home birth again.
Yeah. Have you made any decisions on more kids? I know you seems like you go back and forth, and I know how it is too, but any updates there?
Yeah. No, we go back and forth, I think, once a week. It's like we
Yeah.
have
Oh
those
my.
glimmer moments as a family, when the
Yeah.
stars align and everything's perfect, and we're both like, we should have another baby. And then shit hits
Yeah.
the fan, and we're like, absolutely fucking not. Like we are, the shop is
Yeah.
closed. We're not having any more kids. So we're just a no right now.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. I mean, 2 to 3. Do you think you could successfully have 3 kids?
Um, I don't know. My hands are full. I mean, I'm not married, so it's like, well, I can't really,
Right.
I get, yeah. So,
No, totally.
but I always wanted three. But I have heard the transition from two to three is really hard when you're outnumbered. But then I
How
heard
was
the
1 to 2
transition
for
from
you?
3 to 4. I heard that 3 to 4 is like not bad, which
It has to be easy. It has to
that
be.
that's what everyone says. And I'm like, they're like, so if you have three, you might as well just have four. I'm like, I don't know about that.
Well, that's how I feel too. If we have 3, I'm like, now we have to have 4 so that someone always has someone to sit by
Yeah,
on the airplane and the roller coasters, and like we go on
I
roller
know,
coasters
right?
ever as a family. Like
I
we've
know.
never been on a roller coaster. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Was the 1 to 2 transition hard for you?
No, it wasn't. Well, there were
Oh,
hard. I mean, there were hard moments. Man, going from 0 to 1 was like horrible.
it's so fascinating to
0 to 1 was horrible. I was like, what did we do?
me.
Like, not that I regret, I love my daughter, but like, you know how it
Right.
is. And my
Of
my
course.
first daughter, I just thought motherhood was going to be different. I thought it was going to be what you saw on Pinterest and Instagram, where you look great, you feel great, your baby is just snuggling right up to you, and you're breastfeeding them, and like everything is good in the world, right? And it was like
Right.
I wasn't showering. I didn't even know that like you would be bleeding the way that you do after birth. Like, so like you're
Right.
physically recovering. Breastfeeding was a nightmare.
Yep.
The sleep situation, my daughter had colic for the first 3 months. So she was a
Oh,
colic baby.
oh my God.
And I was just like, this is a nightmare. What did
Right.
I do? We're one and done, and that's it. And then with my second daughter, she was a much easier baby, where she didn't have colic. She took to breastfeeding very easy. And I think also just having like the expectation, like knowing what to expect with that second one, knowing
Right.
what life was actually going to be like, I think really set me up for success. Now, I did have hard moments. It was hard. My kids are about 3 years apart too, so I think that makes a difference. The age gap.
Hmm.
My daughter was older, so she could understand. She could communicate really well. She is more independent as
Oh.
well, and so she wasn't. I think about like my younger daughter. If we had a baby now, she would not like it because her personality,
Right.
like she's attached to me, and that's not
Totally.
how my older daughter was. So I think it just the way that it happened. I know everyone's experience is different. But what about you? What was your experience like?
I think I went 0 to 1 was obviously really hard, but I think it wasn't that bad. Or honestly, maybe I blacked it out, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, it was fine. But I know it was obviously hard, and I struggled with anxiety and all the things. But
Yeah.
going from 1 to 2 just kicked me in my ass. I think I went into it really, really cocky, thinking, "Oh, I've had one.
I
Like
got
I've done
this.
this. I've done the newborn stage. I've breastfed. Like I've done the shaking where you roll them away and you shake them and shush in their ear. Like how hard can it be? You know?"
Yeah.
And it was just so hard learning how to balance having 2 kids because with one it's, "Hey husband, can you take the baby? I'm going to go nap," vice versa.
Right.
And it was just a whole nother ball game. But I think it also does have a lot to do with your baby's temperament because my second didn't sleep till she was 18 months old.
Yeah.
And I think that if it had been switched, I probably would have felt more similar to you. Like the struggles at night and all of that probably would have made it a million times worse.
Yeah. Yeah. There were nights where my daughter would be up literally crying for 2, 3 hours, not and wouldn't go to
Oh,
sleep.
oh my
Yeah.
God.
And it was hard because I thought like, oh, it's because we're giving her formula because breastfeeding was just a nightmare for me. Like looking back, I'm like, she may have had tongue tie. It was just
Oh,
so like the
totally.
pain, it was just excruciating pain. So then we switched to formula when she was like 3 weeks old. And so then I started blaming myself. Like she's colic and she has an upset stomach because it's this
Oh,
formula. If we only
Caitlin.
change the formula and then you're going back and forth and you're just like, I'm a shitty mom. Like maybe I should have just
Right?
breastfed and
Oh my God. I just want
it
to
was a
hug you back
nightmare.
then.
Yeah. I want
Oh
to
my
hug
gosh.
myself back then too. I'm like, girl, like I don't know. And I just tried to keep it together and I tried to make it seem like I was good and I was fine and everything was perfect. And like inside, I was just really
Slowly
struggling. And
dying.
I had really bad postpartum anxiety as well. And through my second pregnancy and breastfeeding and everything, I was on medication. It was approved by
Mm.
my doctor. So I think that also helped as well. So
Oh, I love that.
yeah,
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, kids are so different. Their temperament's different. We're different as moms. Like we go through different changes. And so I think
Totally.
that,
And it's okay to
yeah,
change too as moms.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then so what was your maternity leave like? So I know that you're a civil engineer.
Yes,
Did I get that right? Okay.
you did.
Okay, yay.
Yeah. Yay, yay, Caitlin.
Yay. So what was your maternity leave like? Maybe did that affect like your postpartum experience or anything?
Yeah, so my first was a joke. I think engineering is really far behind in the not like the corporate world is up to speed by any means
Right.
in America, but especially engineering, I feel is kind of a male dominated industry, kind of bringing up the rear a little bit.
Yeah.
I think I only had 6 weeks disability.
Mm.
So, and I didn't sign up for like to bridge the gap for disability because I didn't know we were going to be having a baby. So I think I got maybe like 50% of my pay for 6 weeks, somewhere
Oh,
around there.
okay. Yeah.
And yeah, and then I didn't have enough PTO to cover any time more. So we just had to float an extra 6 weeks unpaid, which was really
Mm.
hard. But there was no way. I mean, I know so many moms have to go back to work at 6 weeks, and I probably would
Yeah.
have like spontaneously combusted. So I think I went back around 12 weeks, and it
Okay.
was really hard.
I know. Even that is, I mean, not very long to
Oh,
be away
no,
and then
you should get 6 months or a year, like easy.
yeah. Yeah,
And
at least.
my that firm now has changed their policies. So at least I think they're doing 12 weeks fully paid now. And then maybe you can take disability after that. I don't know. But I
Yeah.
remember coming back and, your clothes still don't fit right. And this is pre-COVID. So we're
Yeah.
in the office
Oh,
and I'm
yep.
lugging all my pumping supplies. And I remember coming out of the pumping room. It was right by where all of our cubes were. And this older lady who's very kind, but, doesn't have a filter came. She was like, "Oh, how many ounces did you get this time?" And I'm in there crying because I can only get,
Oh.
half an ounce because I'm not nursing my baby. And I'm like, I'm not
Oh
that
my God.
ready,
She's
and
probably
just
just
was
trying to
like,
be like supportive and like hype you up and like encourage
who
you, like that
knows?
to keep pumping, but not realizing that, yeah, that
That she
it's
was
different
actually
for
like breaking me
everyone, that
down.
you're, yeah.
Yeah, she's like, "Yeah, I used to get 8 ounces each side, no big deal." And I'm like, "Yeah, good
What?
luck. Like, this is the worst thing that's ever happened to me."
That was the one
But
time I was grateful I wasn't breastfeeding, is when I went back to work. Cause yeah, this was when
totally.
my first daughter was born before COVID. I went back to work. I didn't have to do, I got pumping breaks and all of that, but just not having to worry about it, not having to lug the equipment in. And I think there's like
Yeah,
a different level of like shame for some reason, like going into the mother's room and
totally.
coming out with milk. I don't know. It just, I was
No,
great. I was like, oh, I'm
100%.
thankful.
Yeah, surrounded by dudes. I was like, they know that I'm
Yeah.
going in here and whipping my tits out, and then I'm sitting in there like with my nipples. We're
Yeah.
just divided by this little wall. No one else here has boobs. Like
Yeah.
there was totally shame to it, and there shouldn't be at all. But especially that first time, it was so hard.
Yeah. What about
Yeah,
after your second daughter was born? So that was it was in 2021. So you're fully remote, aren't you?
totally. Well,
Yeah. Okay.
we were supposed to be going in like 2 days, 2 or 3 days a week. They were encouraging you to, but especially as I got more pregnant, like
Yeah.
absolutely not. I'm staying
Right.
home. So I think I took 12 or 16 weeks off. And again, it was mostly unpaid, but at least I was able to stay home. And then when I went back, I was able to kind of slide into a part time from home with
I love
a
that. Yeah.
nanny. Yeah. And it was bad because I don't know about you, but it's probably a lot of babies when they know you're around. They just want
Hmm.
you, or they don't want the nanny, or they're crying all the
Yeah.
time. So it was actually really hard to find a nanny that worked. Did, did you have that with childcare? Was it a struggle for you?
Oh, yes. 100%. It
Your
was a
face.
struggle. I mean, it's like one of the hardest parts about being a parent, I feel like. And like the wait list. I mean, there's so many things. There's wait lists are crazy. And
Mhm.
then the cost is insane. And then if you're working from home, like you said, like when your baby is home and someone else is watching them, my mom comes over to my house 2 days a week and watches watch both my girls, but now just my youngest one, now that my older daughter is in kindergarten. But they want mom. They know where you are. They know where your office is.
Yeah.
You can hear them crying. Like you want to go out and help. So it's still distracting. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's been tough. And right now we just kind of shuffle the kids around, and pick up from school is like a whole other thing too. And pickup time is 3 o'clock. And then 1 o'clock on Fridays. It's like, well, I work
Oh,
9 to 5. So what
right.
am I supposed to do here?
No, literally. That's one of the reasons I think a big reason that we hold back from having another is having to go through the nanny process again and
Yeah.
the daycare and figuring it all out. It was so hard and so expensive. It's
The
crazy.
cost. The cost is crazy. We just did part-time when both my girls were in daycare, so 3 days a week. And when my daughter went into full day kindergarten, luckily we got her on the full day kindergarten, and it was like an extra like $1,000 that
Yes,
we got to keep a month just for one child to
right.
not go. It was like $2,000 basically a month for part-time
Yeah,
childcare.
it's insane. It's insane. And
Yeah,
granted, that is a job I want to pay someone really well to do because it
for
is,
sure. Yeah.
but it's so hard to manage that with your job. And I remember when I went back after my first, I had a meeting with a female engineer who I really looked up to at my firm. And I was asking her because she had twins. And I was like, how did you do this? And she basically said, we just bled money for a few years and
Yeah.
just took out a loan so that we could afford childcare so I could go to work. She's like, it just really sucked for 5 years. And then we crawled out of it. And I was like, okay, like, I guess,
Yep.
I guess if I really want to work and this is where my priority is, we're just going to have to figure out how to make it work for a few years. So
Yeah.
stressful.
Yeah, that's exactly what our experience was too. So where are your girls in? Do you have a nanny now, or are they in daycare, in school? What does that look like?
Yeah, they're in like a daycare preschool down the street from us, which is
Okay.
really lovely. My oldest will go to kindergarten in the fall, but they're there like 4 days a week. So it's
Okay.
it's so nice to have them out of the house so you can actually
I know.
work or clean or do things.
It makes the biggest difference.
I know, even though I
It
miss
really
them. Like
does.
I felt the pang of guilt I just felt after I said that sentence out loud.
Oh, don't
But
feel
it
guilty.
is
Like,
really nice.
yeah, you do miss them, but it's also like for me, I'm like, it's better that I just like get my work done, can focus on that. And then when they come home, I can be present and with them
Yes.
and not trying to do both things at once. That's one thing that like really triggers my anxiety is trying to do both at the same time
Oh,
when the kids are
absolutely
sick or
not.
anything like that. Yeah, it's
No, it's
horrible.
it's like a straight fiery highway into rage. Like if I'm trying to edit a video or
Yeah.
post while they're around, it's
Yeah.
so rage inducing. So I agree, like being able to separate it and be fully present. I'm working on it, but it helps a lot.
Yeah. Okay, so this is kind of like off topic, but I just
Okay.
have to know for myself, how are you able to post as much as you do? Because I'm like, I'm trying to grow on TikTok and I'm like, need to post more because they say like you should post 3 or 4 times a day. And I'm like, but how? Like, I just like one ideas.
Yeah.
How do you, I'm like, how, like, I need some tips or something.
So for a while, I was on a very strict, like 3 to 5 time posting a day. Felt like I had to do that, and it was
Yeah.
slowly killing me. So
Yeah.
I've switched to like one, two, or three. And honestly, I don't know. I don't, I have a list on my phone where I jot ideas if I think of something randomly throughout the day. And usually what I'll try to do is when I get in bed at night, I try to do an hour ish. Well, that's a lie. I try to schedule it so I can do an hour of like DMs and comments and like interacting with people. Cause I'm sure, as you know, like that takes a lot of time and I don't
Yeah.
want that to fall away. And
Right.
then after that, I just try to scroll and find 2 to 3 sounds that I can save. And at least then I know the next morning, okay, I know the sounds I want to do. I can bust them out. And if they're easy sounds, you can bust them out in like 15 minutes. And
Yeah.
then I can think of the text or I can do the editing later. And then at least that way I like to go into the next day knowing at least one video that I'm going to post. But
Okay.
I don't know. It's hit or miss. Some weeks are good
Yeah.
and I feel like I'm on fire, and some weeks I'm like, everyone hates me. I'm never gonna have an idea to post again. Like I should just quit now.
Just Oh, that's so funny because that's exactly how I feel too. And I feel like that's kind of how my like processes as well. Like after my girls go to bed, I'll like sit down, I do the same thing. That's when I respond to comments, like DMs, really interact with my community, try to interact with other creators, scrolling through their feeds, and then yeah, have like an idea. And I try to just post once a day. But I've tried doing like the batching, and like batching doesn't really feel authentic. It's like once
No.
that feeling goes away and you like want to post 5 days later, it's like I don't, I'm not like in that mood anymore. And so that hasn't
Totally.
worked for me. And so, yeah, I mean, you've been obviously like very successful in what you've been doing. And I also want to talk about Along the Waves. I did order a crew neck, and I
Oh,
checked the
I'll
tracking this
send you one.
morning. I no, one is going to be delivered either today or tomorrow. I checked it. I was
Ma'am.
like, I want to wear it on the call today, but I haven't
Oh,
got it yet. So I ordered it a while ago and it was a pre-order and it just I think it was
Caitlin.
like delayed or something. So, but
Yeah,
I'm excited for it.
okay. First of all, I would have just sent you one as like
No,
a friend gift.
I
I'm
want to
literally
support
writing
like
down a
all of
note.
my
Nope.
don't because
I'm
well,
writing it
I already
down.
bought it. So I just
So
no,
suck
here's
it.
the thing. I love just supporting women in their ventures and like it wasn't even a question. It's like I'm
Oh, you're
buying
so
this. Like
kind.
I love it. I love the messaging behind it. So please don't send me another. I mean, I would love it. Don't get me wrong. I would absolutely love it. I would wear it all the time, but don't feel like you have to. But I want to talk about Along the Way. So can you talk a little bit about kind of the purpose behind it, how you came up with this idea, and yeah, just all the things?
Yeah, totally. So it really harps back, I don't know, to what we were
Yeah.
talking about in the beginning. I don't know, is it hark or harp?
I
Whatever.
don't know. I
To
have no
yeah,
idea.
to that feeling. I was the first of all my friends to have a baby, and I didn't have any real life moms to connect with. So I didn't know some of the things I was feeling, my anxiety, or like you were saying, the breastfeeding struggles, wondering if your baby's getting enough food, like the formula questions, all these things. I felt really isolated in it, and I felt like I was the only one going through these things because I didn't have anyone to talk to about it.
Yeah.
And as I, became more confident in mom life, I started to make more connections, or not because of, but I became more confident in mom life, and then I started to make connections online with moms around the whole world. And I would post these videos, saying I struggled with this, or I was up at 3 a.m. with my baby, and seeing moms comment from around the world saying, "Oh my gosh, that was me last night," or "I'm in Germany and I'm struggling with this," or "I'm in the UK," or whatever. And it really was really validating for me in the most magical way possible. So I wanted to create something that someone could tangibly wear and hold, not just an account or a video, but that someone could wear that felt kind of like a hug from another mom, to let them know
Yeah.
that they're not alone in whatever they're going through. And my biggest example that I always use, because I think it's the most easy to understand, is when it's 3 a.m., it's the middle of the night, and you feel like you're the only one awake with your baby in the entire world. There's probably a mom 2 blocks away who's awake with her baby, or 3 states away, or across the country, time zone wise, who's also awake doing the same thing as you. And I think that mindset is so, it's really been a game changer for me. And I just want to
Yeah.
share that with other moms, that along the waves, thought was kind of like across the street or across the ocean. So along the waves. And then it's kind
I
of
love that.
expanded into this beautiful concept of motherhood as an ocean, and we're all riding the waves together, the ups and the downs, but you know we're all like different little ships on the ocean, but we're all connected by this current underneath that's going in like the same directions. And
Yeah.
it's been really fun.
I love that so much. And I think that makes the biggest difference when you know that you're not the only one that's struggling with something. Just knowing that there's someone else out there that gets it and
Hmm.
understands that no one needs to like fix it. Just knowing that you
Right.
have that connection with someone really does make the biggest difference. I just love your mission. I love the products. Where can people buy? Are you? I was looking at your website, I think last night, and like a lot of the sizes are sold out.
Yeah, so we just did like a massive restock. So, but there are some things that are already sold out, but there should be a bunch of everything left at alongthewaves.com. And we have some really exciting like new pieces coming for spring that I'm really
I'm
pumped
excited.
about. Yeah, and some other kind of big things. I have big dreams. I'll just put it
Yeah.
that way for the future.
I love
So
that. I love that.
thank
Okay, I
you.
have some questions from followers on social media that I
Oh,
asked
people
today.
answered?
So,
People asked?
yes,
Oh, that's so
I feel bad because I
exciting.
meant to post last night, like a full 24 hours, and then like this morning I was like, oh my god, like I forgot to do that. So, but no, we
Oh,
got some questions. So a lot of
I'm
them were
honored.
like related to like birthing experience, but one that I really liked here was, how do you feel, or how are you sorry, I think I wrote this down wrong. It's how do you so confidently embrace all of your identities as a mom and a professional?
The answer is I don't. That's so kind that someone thinks that I do, but I'm such a big believer that I'm never going to be 100% great at all the things at all the times. So, some weeks I'm 100%, like I feel like I'm embracing my role as mom and I'm really pouring all my love and energy into that. And then the next week, maybe I'm kind of sucking at mom life, but I'm really focused on my career. I don't know. I think there's a lot of peace in getting older and understanding that I really am doing the best that I can at all of these things. Even if I do feel like I'm failing daily, in the back of my head, I know that I'm trying and I know
Yeah.
that I'm doing the best that I can on any given day with what I've been given. And that can look different on any single day for both career and for mom life. And I think there's a lot of peace in just accepting and kind of trusting the process.
I love that. Yeah. And I think for myself too, like the balancing, I don't know where this idea came from of like perfectly balancing, motherhood and career and friendships and relate. Like, I don't know where that came from, where this idea that we can be doing all of it at the same time, because my experience is the same. Like sometimes I'm like totally honed in on my job or, what I'm doing on the side and social media. And then other times that kind of slows down and,
Hmm.
I am more focused on my kids and it's kind of just like a give and take constantly. And so I think, yeah, just women need to know that you don't have to balance it perfectly, like in order to
Yeah.
be good mom, good career person.
No.
Like it's just
Even if
like
you
a
don't have a
ebbs and
career,
flows. Yeah.
even if your goal is to be a stay-at-home mom who's,
Yeah.
that's your goal in life, I think the same thing's going to happen. And I think, wasn't it you who
Yeah.
posted something that said it's okay to accept in your career life that right now you're not trying to overexceed? Like,
Yeah.
was that you? That
Yeah.
I
I
so
did post
true.
something a while ago, but I got the idea from Sarah, from the
Oh,
corporate mama.
I love her.
Yes. If
Okay,
it's the
yes,
one you're
yes.
thinking about, yeah, because that it just like felt so authentic to me because I felt kind of guilty. Like after I had my kids, I kind of stepped back in my career and just have just kind of been idling. And sometimes you see
Yeah,
these moms who are, excelling in their careers and they have these high
yep.
powered careers and you feel bad. And then you're also not a stay at home mom and you're like somewhere in the middle,
Yes.
and so it just like really rang true to me. And so yeah, I think that's the one that you're talking about, but it's just so true. Like you just have to be confident in what you're doing and everyone's journey looks different.
Yeah, that was
Okay.
so helpful for me.
Yeah, let me ask you this other question. Hang on. I didn't write it down, but let me pull it up on my Instagram really quick. I didn't know what this was, so I had to look it up. I don't know if you know what it is.
Oh, you're
But the
scared.
question is, are you a canna mom?
Oh, like, do I smoke weed?
Yeah. I was like, what is that? Hey, I'm from Utah, so that's not legal here.
So the answer is, I think the technical answer is no. I stopped drinking 3 or 4 years ago just because it's not serving me right now.
Yeah.
But I've dabbled. I think I would actually love to have that be a thing that I do, but I haven't figured it out in a way that I enjoy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
I
I've done
mean,
like some edibles and it's fine, but it's like, it's not like I'm not obsessed with it. You know what I mean?
yeah. No, I get that. So, yeah, and like I said, in Utah, it's not legal at all.
Oh, that's crazy.
But like in a prior life, I just feel like doesn't it just make you tired? I don't,
Exactly. Yes.
like,
Yeah,
and
that's
it's
how I
like supposed
feel.
to be
It's
a
like,
social thing. It's like it doesn't make me want to be social. So I'm not really drawn to it just for that reason, but I don't
right.
know.
Yeah, I think like if Ethan and I are going away for a weekend and it could be a
Yeah.
fun thing to do, but there's something in the back of my mind when the kids are home and I know I have to mom at 6 a.m. the next day, even if it's something that doesn't give you a hangover, I just can't get excited about it. Like it doesn't make
Yeah.
me want to enjoy it. And then I'm just stressed the whole time, like, oh my gosh, what if I wake up with a headache? Even if
I know.
that's not going to happen. It's hard to enjoy those things when I know my kids could be waking up at 3 a.m. or 1 a.m. Maybe, yeah,
Yeah.
maybe when we're consistently sleeping, well, I'll
Yeah.
look into it.